Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 3 Martini Lunch. This is a national virtual networking event powered by Rockstar Connect. We've been doing it for a very long time. I think this is like number 40 or so, where we've been joining with you panelists. The secondary title of the show is the Adventures and Saga of Stephen David Elliott's Beard. I am Stephen David Elliott. I started this program absolutely clean shaven, not having worn a beard in decades. And now I'm a full-blown, I guess, hippie. Is that the word you kids are using today? Yeah, it is. I just want to be right on top of it. Beatnik. That's right, beatnik. Something jazzy like that. The format for 3 Martini Lunch is we do share a success every week. And then in the second half of the program, we share the question of the week. And that can either be something sort of funny, or it can be sad, or it can be happy, or thought-provoking. Sometimes all of the above. Before we jump on success this week, I just want to discuss another topic, because I'm very much a supporter of local businesses and small businesses. And, a lot of them are closing. Some are thriving. Some are able to pivot and change, and others are not. But there's also, chains, chain stores that are going out of business. Today, NBC News reported that Godiva chocolates. Who likes Godiva chocolates? Yeah, we all love Godiva chocolates except for Jack. I don't know why he doesn't like them. Or he just wasn't paying attention. What?
I'm a Ghirardelli guy.
Okay, for sure. But that's something, it's a memory that we have as a child going to the mall, because they were ubiquitous in the better malls around the country. And you would be able to get a free truffle sample. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was pretty good, because those were not inexpensive chocolates there. If you were to buy an individual one, it would cost you at least a few bucks. Your parents weren't going to buy you one.
Who remembers shopping malls?
There's one right down the street from me, but I haven't been in it for a year. I would love to. I love to walk in them. I like to go to the food court, run into people that I may know. It was a great experience. But I posted today about Godiva going out of business, and some people were actually like, well, you know what? Sort of like good riddance to them. They're a chain. They're not a local store. We need to support local chocolate stores. And I was thinking, in my opinion, that's a little short-sighted, because there's, that chain, first of all, it was a long time since Godiva has been a small business, probably 1826, and it didn't start in Raleigh or in Michigan. It started in Belgium or Paris. I'm not sure, one or the other. Domenic probably knows. But there were 129 of those stores around the U.S. There used to be a lot more than that, but there were 129 of them prior to the pandemic. They're going to close absolutely all of them. Every store has at least one manager in it, maybe two managers, a couple employees. Maybe at Christmas they hire a lot more people. They need to stretch their buck, summer jobs, etc. They hire thousands of people. And to be sort of flippant and say, well, good riddance to them, we'll shop at our local shops, I think, I think that's incorrect. And I just want to know if any of you else had an opinion about just commerce in general, small business versus chains, or chains, small businesses. Who has an opinion on that, would like to share before we go ahead, Katie?
Well, I think one thing people need to remember when thinking about big businesses is a lot of them are franchises that are owned by individual families. So like, for instance, like Big B Coffee or like Jersey Mike's, those are all individual, like they're run like a small business. So I think a lot of times, people are so quick to be like, oh, that's a big business. We just support a local business. You have to remember that it is a local person that owns that franchise branch. So, because I'm all about supporting local businesses as much as possible. When I have, coffee meetings and someone suggests, Starbucks or so, even though like that, I'm not sure how that's franchised out, but I do try and support more of like the local coffee shops. But I do know, you know, a lot of those, you know, big businesses are also franchised locally owned. But I'm all about that local business though.
Right. And, you know, that introduction to Godiva may be someone's first try at fine chocolates. And they may want to get, you know, buy from other chocolate stores.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And, you know, I know most of the Burger Kings and McDonald's, those are franchises. They're not corporate owned. And a lot of people, you know, got their start working at places like that.
But, and also a lot of people though, when it comes to some of those own, you know, they own the rights to the entire state. So it's not super locally, you know what I mean? So you have to kind of do your research and find out, you know, is it like the Jersey Mike's right by me? I know it's one guy that owns just that one right there, you know, and so you have to kind of see, because if they own 1,000 McDonald's, it's very different than a family that owns one, you know, location.
Yeah, many small businesses, they dream to be big businesses one day. Not every small business said, I'm opening up to be just one store. Domenic, you're a chocolate user and abuser.
I wouldn't say abuser. Look, I agree with Katie about the franchise thing, because I just know a ton of franchise owners and they're having a hard time right now too. So we have to have, you know, sympathy for them. You know, they put their life savings into being able to get into a business when, you know, they may not know how to start one from the ground up. So they buy the model and they're typically working it themselves. Oftentimes franchises like that, they're either, you know, some kind of frontline work. So it could be something like a trade that they buy into a franchise of, or like you're saying, a restaurant or retail location. And just because they have a nationally recognized name on the door doesn't mean that we should shun them, right? That to me is ridiculous. It's still a business. They still employ people. They still, you know, are supporting their families and are part of our economy. So, you know, support those businesses.
Right. And, you know, look at Amazon, the biggest of big businesses there possibly is. And a lot of people, you know, have a love-hate relationship with them. They may have antagonism towards corporate, but how many jobs is it providing during the pandemic, during the shutdown? Some of those people may have lost their jobs at that Jersey Mike or Godiva. Who else would like to comment on this subject? Jack? Oh, Ray? Go ahead, Ray.
Okay, so, you know, I like the word that you used earlier. You said people are flippant about businesses going under or whatever it is. And one of the things that I notice is people say, you know, I'm not going to, you know, good for them. Godiva's going down. Support your small business, but they don't mention who that small business is. So who is your local chocolatier in your area? And instead of saying something negative, I would like to hear the positive side of what's happening to our economy. Yes, business are, you know, struggling. Small businesses are struggling. Obviously, even some of the larger businesses are struggling. I think one of the things that's interesting is that there's so much good news available. We don't have to focus on all the bad news.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, during this conversation, we are sort of focusing on the bad news just for this question. But I've also seen where people will say, well, you know, some businesses, they just have to be sacrificed for the better good because of the pandemic, because of the virus. Like, you know, venues or, you know, us, like we're an event company. It's just like, you have to do it. But I don't see any of those people like volunteering to give up their, you know, their paycheck from their job. I think when it hits really close to home. Jack, you wanted to comment some?
Just to more, I think, kind of agree with what you were saying, Stephen, is the fact that all jobs contribute to the economy, be it local, be it governmental, and really the loss of any job is going to have an impact to your point, that, whoever the employer is, if you've got people in your community, in your town that are drawing paychecks and contributing, putting that money back into the economy, spending at local establishments or whomever, it's a cycle that it's bad for anybody to be closing their doors. I guess that's the best way to say it, because the money does circulate back through.
And right, and we're salespeople too. We like to spread our money around, because when we do that, and I know John will agree with me, you're spreading the seeds for your own business. People get to know who you are, right, John? John, we got you. Unmute yourself.
Kiss hands or kiss babies and shake hands, right? Go be seen and be in restaurants and help support local. I think you hit the nail on the head though, Stephen. Like, until it hits home, until you get unemployed, until you don't have a check, like, I don't know how many people here went through the crash, but that wasn't a lot of fun for me personally, right? So glad I'm here, but my business as well, and I'm grateful for that. But I certainly, being an empath, I recognize those waitresses, those that relied on those, that, and they're not making that money, man. So I have great sympathy for them.
Yeah, these small businesses do so much, for our businesses. There was a local real estate agent here that moved from the Bronx down to the South, and they said it would be real difficult for him to make a business here, because people deal with their own here in the South. And he parked himself down into a Starbucks, and he put realtor at work on his laptop, and then he went up to the manager, and he would go every day for the hour that he was there, and he'd buy coffee for every single person that came into that shop. So it was a good investment for him in that business that many people don't necessarily see as a small business. Jackie, would you like to comment? I don't know if Jackie can hear us. Arline, would you like to comment?
Sure. Any business that goes out of business is bad. We can't, the larger corporations pretty much, like everyone has said, supply jobs, supply money, supply everything. So a local business is great to support, but we need both.
Yeah, and the shopping mall is so iconic in the United States, going back, to the middle of the last century. We have movies that were, entirely based inside of primarily in shopping malls. I just watched the remake of Valley Girl. They just made a musical out of it. You might not know because we didn't get to see it in a movie theater. It was released directly onto Netflix or one of the streaming channels. That whole movie is about takes place in the mall, and that's where we went to meet with our friends. It's telling because what is it going to be for our kids? I mentioned this I think in a conversation with Domenic last week. We had the pleasure of having Domenic and his fiance over for dinner. We did social distance. There was social distancing being done, but we just talked about, like, I have a daughter who's Sarah and I have a daughter that's in middle school. Will be in middle school next year. She has spent an entire year without any contact with boys. It's going to be a real shock going to middle school if they open up the schools here, because they're still closed, the public schools, to have to experience that all at once. That's going to be a whole lot of hormones. We used to blow some of that off at the mall. That just was one of those places. So I wish everyone, big business and small business, everyone keep their job, excel at it. I know it's good for real estate agents, but we're working 10 times as hard for the deals. I have to tell you, this is probably my hardest, the hardest transactions I've had in my life have been in the last 8 months. Would you agree with that, Ray? Yeah, there's so many people buying property now because they want to determine where they're going to be for the next year. Where are they going to be hanging out? Where are they going to be parking their butt for 2 years? that they're going out and buying property now, but the system that's designed to handle 1 trillion transactions is now trying to handle 2 trillion transactions. I mean, look what's going on with the Postal Service. I mean, I cannot use the Postal Service for my business anymore. In my business, time is of the essence. When someone sends a check, it needs to get there within a certain period of time, contracts, etc. And I did a transaction with Ray's daughter, and it took 1 month for her check by U.S. Postal Service to get to the the intended recipient, and that was with overnight with tracking. So today, someone was online and they were criticizing people for not using the post office. Well, the reality is, if they can't deliver the service that we need for our clients, because I'm doing this for my clients, it's not going to work for me. If I got to get a birthday card to my mom, I don't want it to come 3 weeks after her birthday. Right? Anybody else having some trials and tribulations with the Postal Service?
Oh, yes. Lots.
Yeah.
Our Christmas cookies that were meant to be delivered, a week before, didn't show up until 3 weeks later, and they were bad.
Now pet rocks now.
Yeah. Heather, we had to have her engagement ring repaired, and we sent it to the jeweler, and he sent it back, and it took 4 weeks for it to get there, and we almost had to file a massive insurance claim.
And have a massive stroke on top of that. Who else has been starting to use FedEx and UPS and what is it, DHL instead? Yeah. What experience did you have with the Postal Service, Jacqueline?
It's funny. My daughter has started her own business on Etsy, and she needed stamps, and she ordered the stamps directly from the post office, and it still took them a month to get to her. And I mean, how crazy is that the post office directly from them, and they still couldn't get it to her. It still took a month.
Well, part of the problem is, and the Postal Service is very important. It's important that we have a Postal Service. We can't just have, private companies be controlling all of our mail. But FedEx and UPS are not allowed. You're not allowed to mail things with a stamp through them. You have to use a special service, and that's by law. But from what I understand, the Postal Service is hiring FedEx to handle some of the packages. And I think if this is a temporary situation, as they claim, that's the right thing to do, so that we get our confidence back in the U.S. mail. Because that was a big deal too. Just like shopping malls and Godiva chocolate, you had your U.S. mail, and you knew you'd send it, and it would get there in a certain period of time. Thank Benjamin Franklin for that, right? Our first Postmaster General. Well, yes, he was. Just a little interesting tidbit, a little bit of trivia about the Postal Service. The cheapest way to send something in the Postal Service is media rate, which used to be called book rate. And you could send a book for about the same price you could send an envelope for. The reason for that was our first Postmaster General, who was Benjamin Franklin, was a book seller as well as a book collector. So therefore, he put in place at the very beginning of our republic the ability to send that type of material at a much lower rate, and much to the benefit of our country and literacy. Because everything, of course, everything that you did back in pre-revolutionary and revolutionary times was expensive. There was nothing that was cheap, because anything that you had, you worked extremely hard for. We take it for it. It does stink when our stuff gets there late, but the fact that it gets there at all is amazing in and of itself. That you can send a letter and it can end up somewhere on the other side of the world. Well, so many people are, now we're back on. We have a lot of panelists here. Let's get to the first part of Three Martini Lunch. We're going to talk about what great things have happened to us in the last week. What's a wonderful thing that happened to us, our friends, or our family? It can be business related. It can be familial. It can be spiritual. We don't block any of that speech here. at 3 Martini Lunch. Dianne, it's been a while since you've been on the show. Why don't you start off first telling us, since, to reintroduce yourself to the audience, why don't you tell us who you are, a little bit about what you do, and what your great success has been?
Great, thank you. My name is Dianne Miller, aka Contractress. I work for a contractor, and we do a lot of renovations, specialize in the drywall, popcorn removal, texture, and paint. And we're booming. I mean, I feel bad for all these smaller businesses that are going out, and we're small. We're 25 guys, but we have, a lot of other contractors that we sub. I think everybody's been sitting in their house all this time and just really looking at things and saying, ew, yuck, this wall needs to go, this popcorn needs to go, wallpaper, all kinds of people wanting many different renovations. So we've really been fortunate to keep our guys working and keep things flowing. And
so you have the opportunity to hire more people and contribute to the economy in that way.
Right, exactly. And, like I said, subbing it out too, where we could do bigger projects.
Great. And so what was your big success this week that you can share with us?
This week was getting everybody booked, everybody happy, because we have a waiting list, and we have a couple projects that finished up early. So we're able to get one lady, she wanted to move in Saturday. So we just squeezed her in. The house was vacant, and she was a customer of mine, a referral, because realtors are wonderful referrals for me. So it was a real estate agent that I love working with, and one of her clients was just really in a pinch. So I'm like, well, it's vacant. So we got it done. The guys are going to be done Friday, and she could move in Saturday. So that was big.
What part of the country are you located?
Central Florida.
In the Orlando area?
In Orlando, but we cover the whole center of the state, but we also cover Tampa. And
Florida is experiencing the Great Migration.
Oh, yeah.
I read an article this week, very extensive investigation piece about how South Florida is becoming San Francisco.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone is, the techno billionaires are moving from San Francisco to South Florida. Someone wrote an article at the beginning of the pandemic, and that said, why can't we move San Francisco to Miami? Because the weather's better, prices are cheaper, laws are less complicated. And the mayor of Miami responded to it. It was responded on Twitter, "You're welcome to move San Francisco here. What do we have to do to accommodate that?"
Huh.
And then started having a meeting of the minds with people in San Francisco. So a large amount of people from California started moving to South Florida. You're aware of this, Ray?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Ray's from South Florida.
I'm actually in California, and people are moving. Mostly, obviously, we're being able to do things online through Zoom meeting, work from home. And the cost in San Francisco, the cost of living is just so high, it doesn't make sense for somebody to be house poor just so they can get to the office. So they're moving to Sacramento, they're moving everywhere. Idaho, Tennessee, Kentucky, Florida. But oddly enough, there's probably an equal number of people moving into California because they have California has that thing, that image where everything's better here. So we have an equal number of people moving. I'm sorry?
If you get a 5% discount on a property in San Francisco, that translates into an enormous amount of money.
Huge amount. Yes, absolutely.
So it's a big deal. It's enough for you to say, "Hey, I'm moving back from Seattle. I'm going to move back to the Bay." I mean, a lot of people are moving back to where they were from too. John, you're having a great migration to Michigan, I understand.
Yeah, I mean, our housing is just crazy. I don't know what it's like on the other, but we are in such a huge inventory shortage right now. So it's hard to be a buyer.
It is. Someone was speaking with me yesterday, and they're planning on moving to Florida from North Carolina. And they said, well, it's a seller's market there. And I said, well, it's a seller's market here too. Yeah. So you're moving from one seller's market to another seller's market. It'll all even out in the wash, and you just have to decide. People will say crystal ball, are prices going up or mortgage rates? I mean, I could tell you that. I could, I'll have a 50-50 chance of being right or wrong. But what I am sure of, and most experienced real estate agents are sure of, is if you move into a home now, you know where you're going to be for the next 2 to 5 years. So now's your decision. Do you want to be where you are for the next 2 to 5 years, or do you want to be somewhere else for the next 2 to 5 years? And going forward with our whole discussion on success, a success that Sarah and I had over the last month is we just said, the hell with it. We've achieved what we wanted to achieve. Life is great. We have to appreciate that and sit back and enjoy our successes. Have that glass of wine, have that extra piece of chocolate cake, take the dogs to the dog park. If you can afford to get a new car, get a new car. Whatever you can do, now's the time to do it. There's no point to wait, because we could all be gone in a year, or you're eating steaks this year, you might be eating rock soup next year. You might as well enjoy the steaks right now. John, let's get your perspective. We haven't heard from you in a few weeks. You can comment on anything we've discussed thus far. We would like to know a little bit about your business, since it's been a while. And also, what has your great success has been since we spoke to you last?
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me back, and great to see you all. I am a local realtor here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I manage a managing partner of a small brokerage. We've got about 30 agents, and then I do some selective business coaching to insurance agents and loan officers and some business people here around the country. So enjoy that. I love what you just said, and I think that's self-love, Stephen, right? Like the times, like get up in the morning, make yourself breakfast, like make time for your coffee. So many times working from home now, I think it's even harder, right? It's 6:30 in the morning, alarm goes off and you're like, boom, you start working. So I've really had to take this time to make sure that I don't get out of bed, grab my computer and start working and go, holy crap, it's noon. I haven't taken a shower, but I've just worked for 6 hours straight.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah, I really tried to work hard at that self-love and enjoying. And then I let go of my my relationship with time. I stopped worrying about getting it done and being on time, because it just happens when you let go of that. So make yourself the coffee, make yourself your breakfast, and do your meditations and your prayer and your affirmations and all those things, because really that's what sets you up for the day, right? To make yourself. And the next thing you know, you didn't work 14 hours that day. My success, I would say, I've gone in and out of assistants, and I recently hired an assistant, and I recently hired my daughter to help me with my social media and things like that. And it's been, the last week was like, there's one of those moments, they say if your kids turn out good, don't take too much of the credit, and they turn out bad, don't take too much of the blame.
Right.
But looking at her, I was like, I'm shocked and astonished by her, by where she's come. She's 22, and I'm so grateful for her creativity, and a little bit of shock at it. So my success was, wow, man, my daughter's going to be okay.
Isn't that a great feeling?
Yeah.
It's always great to talk to other agents from other parts of the country to see what they're observing. But I'm finding a lot more camaraderie with my fellow agents that I'm getting on the phone with and doing deals, understanding towards extensions, also crafting the way we speak to our clients so they're not in the adversarial position, that they're working together towards closing. Are you finding more of that?
Yeah, and I'm going to put you and I in a same bracket, but I think that's kudos to the generation below us too, that they, I think when I got in the business, it was more, we held everything tight. I didn't want to tell you how I did business. And this, now it seems like, no, we're all in this together. I want to help you. How can I help you do business better? And I admire that. And I love that, not only in your own market, but across the country. Like, how can we help each other?
It seems to be that way. I mean, you work with financial service people and insurance agents. Are you seeing the same thing there?
Yeah. And huge collaboration even. like with each other, cross industries. So, and I enjoy that because we can not only go to the restaurant and help small businesses, but loan officers and insurance people and realtors, we're all kind of connected in one way or another, and to help each other grow each other business. It's new, and it makes me feel good in my heart.
It's like best practices, respect towards clients, learning how to spend our hours in our business. Not all phone calls need to be, returned within 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
For example, an understanding of that.
Yeah, customer service. An insurance agent last week even started helping me understand where am I short in my customer service.
That was excellent. Thank you for your input. I'm glad you're back with us this week and you could take the time. Jackie. First of all, everyone, take a look at Jackie's background. She created a virtual audience for herself on the screen. So, Jackie, I am doing a transaction with your cousin by marriage.
Yes, she is married to my first cousin, Derek, who is a Raleigh police officer.
It's been a very great.
And she's a pretty awesome. Are we muted?
No, you're on.
Oh, I thought I lost you for a minute.
Mm-hmm. It's a great transaction. Her and I are really good friends. The first night, she sent me a text and she wrote, "You're my hero." To me.
But she's pretty awesome herself. Tamiko is a great lady, and she is a wonderful addition to our family. So I was kind of shocked when you told me that you were doing a transaction with her. Small world.
What's neat about it, though, is this is to give you an example of how people are doing business today. There's a little issue we have to, in every transaction that we have to smooth out. She said, well, it's my client's birthday on Wednesday, and she's really into her birthdays being an older person. Can we wait until the day after her birthday?
Oh.
I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I'm sure my buyer would be fine with that. He wouldn't want to deal with it on his birthday either. And we came to an agreement with that. That would be hard pressed to say a year ago we would even have a conversation like that. It would just be,
well, that's her heart. She's a really sweet person, and she's a great person to know. And I'm so happy that the two of you connected.
Well, so am I. And Jackie had an incredible success this week that I know you've probably been waiting to announce here on 3 Martini Lunch to the crowd.
Are you talking? Now, I've had a really good week. It's been a busy one.
Talking about your new board position.
Yes, I am really happy about this. I am a newly elected board member to the Eastern region of the American Red Cross, which is something that's near and dear to my heart. I am so passionate about being able to sit on this board and have a specific role, play a major role in working to diversify the blood supply. Because as you know, we do have some issues with blood supply in the African American community, and not just the African American community, but many of the brown communities. And I am just elated to be able to take on this role. It's something that I'm passionate about, and in the back of my mind has been something that I have been deeply concerned about through the years, especially since we have an issue with a very large percentage of African American babies being born with sickle cell. And because our blood supply is not diversified enough, we are not able to to save these lives at the rate that we would be able to if our blood supply was diversified. So I'm so grateful for this opportunity and just elated that they reached out to me.
In the African American community and in the people of color community, what is the most common blood type? What's missing out there?
That I do. I'm not sure about what the most common blood type is, but I do know that we have a serious issue with not just sickle cell, but with many other diseases. Like it's difficult to get a bone marrow transplant, if you will, because there's not enough of matching donors. And on top of that, not only just the matching donors, there's not enough, the volunteer pool for the American Red Cross is not diverse. And so if we're not participating and we're not engaged, how do we expect to get more people of color to donate blood?
Excellent. I'm sure you're going to come up with some great ideas to help solve that problem. I read an article about Amazon is supplying all the vaccines to their employees.
Mm-hmm.
So those people, they're training people that are doing deliveries to go out and give vaccines. Perhaps that would be the next step for doing blood donation.
Did anyone see the article that with a press release that Eli Lilly just released this week about the antibodies that they are working on and the importance moving forward with the virus for people who have underlying health conditions? It was an extraordinary article because it's going to clear up a lot of things about the vaccines and why it is important that people have a clear understanding of what these antibodies will do moving forward in the future. And they just finished developing antibodies that just completed their third phase of clinical trials. And so I am really excited about that because that also ties into the work that I'm going to be doing, trying to diversify the blood supply, is having to be able to now have something that I can educate people with and take it further for them to believe in the process enough to want to become donors for the American Red Cross.
Well, if you see that article, just send it to me or to Sarah so we can present that to the group. We can email that out.
Sure, I'll post the link shortly.
I know that the next 3 months are very crucial. Our president has said that this is mask time and this is vaccine time, and it's essential for that to occur for us to be opening back up again in the fall. And I'm dying to do events, but I don't want to die doing events.
Right. Exactly.
There's a difference. And I know there's a lot of pent-up demand. A lot of people want to see their friends. Whenever I see Jack in these virtual things, like I sort of missed up because I miss seeing him in person. Pardon me. But thank you for your service, and I couldn't think of a better person to be in that role.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. And we're all proud of you.
Thank you.
Arline. You look like Phantom of the Opera there. Okay, there you are. Hi. So Arline, besides helping, not-for-profits and for-profits getting sponsors for their business, what successes have you had since the last time you were on? I know that you've been, contacted Sarah and you're trying to do some connections there. What else is going on?
Well, I've been doing real well filling my workshops. Actually, I'm almost on a waiting list, and it's I have a free workshop, an introduction to what sponsorship is and everything. So on the business level, it's been really good. Things are booming. I'm helping a lot of people get started to get extra money. On a personal level, I've started a garden, and I'm so excited because I try every year, and it's but this year I'm real determined, and I've got all kinds of little seedlings coming up. So I'm really excited about that.
Well, the gardens and the lawn, it's a big deal. Like right here, Raleigh, North Carolina in general, people are very proud of their lawns and their gardens. And we had some heavy rain yesterday, so people are putting memes of their seeds going over waterfall, because this is when our seeds are supposed to be taking.
Oh, yeah.
So good luck with your garden. Sarah has indoor plants, lots of indoor plants. I think we have about 200 plants inside, maybe more.
Yeah.
Or so. I mean, you walk down certain parts of the house, you do have to walk sideways in the winter because indoor plants are joined by the outdoor plants.
Yeah, I know. bringing my plants in. We have like in Florida, I'm in Florida in Daytona Beach. I'm neighbors with some of you guys. And it's like, well, there might be a freeze tonight. So I'm lugging in the giant pineapple plant. I'm lugging in all this stuff. And then it doesn't freeze. And then you have to take them all back out. And then 2 weeks later, well, we might have a freeze again. So it keeps you in fit, keeps me in shape though, right? That's a good way to exercise.
It is. So Katie, you wrote about the greenhouse. Not only does she want a greenhouse, you want to find a house with a big piece of property. We can have a massive greenhouse. And inside of our house, we have the arrow garden, but the giant like industrial arrow gardens that are like 12 feet tall and 4 feet wide that we can grow anything we want inside. In fact, we're getting ready to pick all our new crops. But as Sarah's saying there, she'd love a big glass room with hose and drains in the floor. And by God, she will get it because, what makes her happy makes me happy as well. Ray, you didn't get to share with us what your success has been since we last spoke with you. Would you like to jump in?
Sure. So late last year, I started formally coaching again, specifically to real estate agents, but it's a business coaching. So it can be anybody that's an entrepreneur. And this last week, I started coaching 2 more people. So I'm excited about the opportunity to help, real estate agents in the local area right now, to help them get started, help them, help other people. So I think I can actually help more people by helping the people that are helping them, right? So
it's amazing.
It's pretty exciting.
We're in the same brokerage, Ray and I. He's the district director for our company out in the Roseville, Sacramento area. And the growth in our company has been, during COVID, 4 times or 5 times. It's just massive because we are the first virtual real estate company that went public. So, and maybe the only one that will go public. So far, we are the only one. So we have a lot of credibility for people that want to work from home, experienced agents. And that's what we always look for before. But now younger agents are coming to us. And since we have such a large amount of very experienced agents, we're able to put them into phenomenal mentoring programs. Is that correct, Ray?
Yeah, that's correct. So I'm actually I'm actually certified with our company, Fathom Realty Group, to be a mentor. But what I was talking about is real estate agents outside of my company. So I'm doing both. It's pretty exciting, again, to help people do something I'm really passionate about.
Well, that's terrific. Congratulations. It's a wonderful success.
Thank you.
Let's go over to Andrew. Andrew, can you share? How are you doing?
Doing well. How about you?
Great. Were you able to connect with Warren to get that information?
I haven't heard back from him yet, but I've reached out to him again.
Great. So all of you that are, watching this program all over Facebook and on YouTube, we are always referring back to one another. If you want to reach out to any of our panelists and have a one-on-one with them, they would be happy to speak with you and, tell you about their philosophy in business and in life. And, Andrew's on the coast. We met through Rockstar Connect. He was a Rockstar Connect host in Wilmington, but we actually met in Miami Beach at a real estate convention there that didn't even quite occur. It's like the convention occurred. They canceled the convention. Everyone said, well, we're going to Miami Beach anyway.
Yeah.
We're not going to give that up. We all bought the tickets and had the hotel rooms. And he was is a host now for, 4 years. But we refer back and forth to each other frequently. It's the Rockstar Connect way to try to help one another. And he asked me for a referral this week. And hopefully another host, Rockstar Connect host, will be helping him. So what are some of the great successes you've had since you were last on the program?
Let's see. In the past week, I've gotten 2 more listing agreements signed that won't go live until February. And if it all works out by Friday at 5, I'll have had 2 closings this week.
Well, congratulations. That's a great start to the year.
Yeah,
if you keep that pace up for the whole year, you have a lot of money in your pocket and a lot less hair.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, that's the thing with real estate. It's like you wish for all the business, but when you get all the business, you're sort of like, I need a vacation.
No, you realize what you don't like to do, and then you outsource that.
You do. That's true. Let's jump over to hi. We have Shaun has joined us now, and Jenny and Noah. Glad to see you. It's certainly been a while, and we're happy to have you back. Katie, can you share some successes? I follow. I know what's going on.
Yeah, we've had a great week. I had to actually look at my calendar to remind myself because there's been like what's happened just this week. So last week, GoFundMe interviewed me on their podcast, so that was really cool, and I know they have a large audience. We were gifted a new office space. This is the third office we've been gifted in 3.5 years, and it's BW Mitchum Trucking Company. It's a really big national trucking company. They've given us this 4-room office space. And there's windows. I've never had an office with windows. I'm so excited. I've been so grateful for every office space we've been gifted, but windows, like there's light. It's so great. And he, was showing me around. He was like, "Do you think these 4 rooms will be enough?" I was like, 4 rooms? I thought I was just gonna have one room. I've, been used to this. And so it's tons of space, even like the entryway, it's all mine. So we can grow in it. I can use it for storage. Our Halloween costumes I can keep up on clothing racks year round, not have to keep packing them up and storing them in people's attics. Oh, there's just so much potential to grow. And it seems like this is a pretty permanent spot for us. So it's just such a blessing to not have to worry about rent and utilities and all of that. We just have it. So I'm really really grateful.
Sounds like a great potential match. I mean, to be with a shipping company, it sounds like you could be.
Yeah, they helped us at the last bike reveal with one of their trucks. So, and they donated $2,500 to us last month as well. So I mean, they're a wonderful, wonderful company. And another big thing. Oh gosh, there was something else really big. And what was it? I have to look at my calendar again. We gave this little girl yesterday. So our bike reveals that we had in December, there was 2 wheelchair-bound children, 1 at each school. Ironically, there's only 50 in the entire school district, K through 12, and 2 of them happened to be the 2 schools we gave bikes to. And we give bikes to every single child. We're not going to leave anybody out. And so obviously, we're not going to let these 2 children not get a bike because they're in a wheelchair. So we custom make a bike for them. They can be anywhere from $800 to $1,300 just for that one bike, when our other bikes are $100. So it's very expensive. But the seat for one of the kids' bikes, the wrong seat was sent to us twice. And I was obviously irate because this 4-year-old girl did not get her bike on the day everyone else did. But we did a little special bike reveal for her yesterday, and we covered it with a moving blanket, and her whole class came in, and she's only 4, and oh my gosh, she was so excited and got on it and was just the biggest smile you've ever seen in your life, and her parents were just so grateful. So I posted pictures in my Facebook and Instagram story for mine and Going Places. And I'll be posting an actual post about it along with photos from the other school's child that was in the wheelchair bike. I'll be posting those together soon. But that was it felt so, so good. So that was the biggest accomplishment.
It sounds like the biggest week of the year after the reveal.
What's that?
It seems like the biggest week of the year.
Oh, it has been. I mean,
reveal.
Life is really amping back up. I mean, I'm like insanely busy all week, and it's exciting. We have two mini bike reveals this spring. We're going to give 80 bikes between 2 schools in an affluent area, Mount Pleasant. But there's 80 kids between both schools that live, in trailers and below the poverty line, and so we are going to do a special mini bike reveal for them where we draw names out of a hat, but the only names in the hat are those kids' names, so they don't feel singled out, but we can still get them bikes. So we'll do that, I think, in March. And then we have 166 extra bikes left over from all of our other bike reveals. So we're going to match those bikes with a smaller school and do a big all-school bike reveal in early June. And then we're going to give almost 400 bikes to every kid at another school in October. And our gala is May 15th. So we have a really big year.
It's a really big year. So she mentioned that the trucking company gave a $2,500 donation. $2,500 represents 25 bikes.
Yep.
So if anyone wants to purchase bikes for the kids, they can reach out to Katie and Going Places. We bought 2 bikes last year, and we hope to buy at least 2 bikes this year, maybe more, and help you get more bikes once we start doing physical live events.
Thank you. And it's a bike, lock, and helmet. You get the $100 covers all 3 things.
Right. I mean, if you don't have those, you really can't bike.
Right. You have to keep the kids safe and the bike safe.
Because it's a big possession for them. So if they were to lose that bike, it would be a really, really sad thing and a big deal. So therefore, the purchase of the lock. And these are not just like Goodwill bikes. These are brand new.
These are custom bikes so next year they're going to be aqua blue, and they'll be called the Reason, and we put our logo on it. And every year, like this year, they were neon orange, and they were called the Adventure. So every calendar year, they're a neon color and white. The white kind of neutralizes it, boys and girls, with the neon color. And then there's a name that's kind of inspirational with a little bit of joy in your life. It just kind of has that feeling like it's the reason. And you can go on adventures and that kind of stuff.
Right. And when you make this donation, it's 100% tax deductible, because all the benefit goes to the person that's receiving the bike.
Yep. We have very little overhead. That's why I'm so psycho about not paying for rent of an office space and all. I mean, it's like, no, every dollar we put towards something else is not going towards the mission. So our overhead is like very minimal.
Yeah, it's completely non-selfish. It's not like you're getting a T-shirt and a hat. The kids are getting everything.
Right. Yeah, I even fought my cost of living raise from my board for 3 years, because I was like, no, that's money away from bikes. And eventually my financial advisor was like, you are personally losing money. You have to have a cost of living raise. So like I said, our overhead is very, very minimal. It's necessities.
If anyone still wants to, have a conversation with Katie about Going Places and her coaching program on how you can start your own not-for-profit, please reach out to her, connect with her on LinkedIn or on Facebook. Although it's harder and harder to connect with her personally on Facebook, you can connect with their business page. The business page is Katie. So if you're connecting with the business page, you're connecting with Katie.
Yeah, it's me that answers.
Yeah, she answers. So let's move over. We're going to go to Jack and Domenic so they can share their success. And then we're going to jump into the second half of the show and we'll do the question of the 3 Martini question of the week. Jack, so it's been a week. What's new?
My big news for the week, I think last time I gave my wife some recognition here. I've got to give my youngest daughter the recognition this week, because she has done very well in school. She went to Mercer, which is a private school near Macon, Georgia, for their presidential scholars interview this week. So she's in the finalists for one of their big scholarships. But then she also, we found out yesterday, received a large scholarship from East Carolina. She's wanting to do physical therapy. And so she got all her tuition paid for all 4 years. And she's in the finalists for the final 2 people to get, I forgot the name of the program, but it basically, for PT, you have to get a doctorate degree. And if she gets accepted into this, she's automatically accepted into their extended program for all 7 years if she gets into this. So
that's fantastic, because I'm very familiar with that program. I have a friend who went through that whole process, and it's extremely competitive.
Yes.
Not only is it a great job that helps people, it's a well-paying job too. So congratulations. And when you have 4 kids getting ready for college, scholarships are very welcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm trying to direct my daughter to the schools, to go to, and the one that's giving the most money is the most attractive one to me. They have great weather. It would be a place we'd actually like to visit. I'd much rather visit Florida than Illinois.
Yeah,
for example, in the winter time. Hey, so question for this week, Jenny, are you here? You want to turn on your video?
No, I am here, but no, I'm not turning my video on yet.
Okay, you're doing something, like you're doing your hair or something.
I'm in a car, so I shouldn't put my video on yet. I was prepared for 3, and then I got a text that said we were starting earlier. So
Yeah,
I'm
we're
just looking.
just tightening it up a little bit. I'm glad you were able to come on earlier, though. We should have let you know a little more in advance. Okay, great. So the question for this week, and Sarah, if you could remind me of the question for this week, you can put it in the chat for everyone.
Yeah. What was your first win that made you feel like you were really going in the right direction?
Okay, yeah, this was a good one. Okay. So what was the first win, in quotes? Domenic, I didn't ask you what your success was, right? Okay, so I'll let you answer this question first and you can share your success.
Sure.
So here's the question. What was the first win that you had in your life that made you know that you were going in the right direction in your life? What was the first win? So that's open to a lot of interpretation there. So Domenic, you get to go first. I know you love to go first. What was your great success this week? And then what was your win that set you on the right path?
Well, I did have an excellent dinner this past Saturday night with you, Stephen, Sarah. So, you can't beat a 5 Japanese Wagyu steak for dinner. So I appreciate that. And as far as other wins for the week, Heather and I got ourselves a little winter vacation booked up in the mountains, so I'm looking forward to
awesome.
Being able to get out of the house and having a extended weekend away from the kids.
You're not going to bring
That'll be
the
nice.
kids with it?
Hell no. Are you kidding? Look, we need a vacation away from them so that we can be better parents to them when we get back.
Well, Sarah always says without kids, it's a vacation. With kids, it's a trip.
That's a fair statement. That is fair.
That's the way she defines it. I think it's a very fair statement. So what was the win that made you know that you were on the right track to achieve what you wanted to achieve?
So, Stephen, I've gone in a lot of right directions in my time. They haven't always been in parallel directions to another right direction. So it's difficult to understand or difficult to answer that. Does that make sense? Because
Well, why don't you pick one recent win that set you on this track? Like you just said, I did the right thing.
Well,
and became a financial advisor instead of a chef.
Right. Well, I mean, that was a good win. Writing my first big case with that was a big win. But when it comes to the direction that my life has taken, and I know this sounds cliche, but meeting Heather and the direction our lives have taken together since we met, that's really been the most defining turning point in my life in the last 10 years or so. So that was the turning point, is meeting her, building that relationship, and going together.
And she's watching today? No. Okay. So
no, she isn't even in the house, so she can't even hear me kissing her butt.
So we will make sure that she gets the recording of this. Alan, when you send it to Heather, can you make sure it's queued up at this point? He said yes. So we'll have it queued and ready to go. I think that what's a pretty cool win is you have a career that you can, as a chef, you can cook the rest of your life.
Sure.
Regardless of whether you're working in a restaurant or anything else.
Exactly.
It's harder to do it the opposite way.
Right. Well, I actually enjoy cooking much more for my friends and my family, and getting to enjoy the experience of them enjoying it and getting to enjoy it myself with them than just cooking for a bunch of people that I'll likely never see because I'm cooking for the next plate, the next table, the next reservation after them, and never getting a chance to have that interaction, develop those relationships. So.
Yeah, and I think with being a home cook, you really get to hone your craft to some people's particular tastes.
Oh, no. That is incorrect. I do not hone because that would mean that I hone my craft to my children's taste. And when it comes to food, they really don't have any taste. They eat what I want.
I meant adults.
But I haven't had any adults come to me and say, I want you to cook it this way. Usually they just enjoy the fact that I'm cooking for them, and that's it.
Cooking has become so important during the pandemic. We see so many of the photos on social media, people that are elevating their craft.
Yeah.
I mean, we really had a crazy dinner this week. We tried to embrace this. Let's just enjoy life to the fullest.
Well, Stephen, your comment I thought was poignant, and I have gone back to it a couple of times this week since we were together, which was, I wonder how much restaurants are going to be impacted after COVID by the fact that so many people had to learn to cook in the last year or so. And that's true. I mean, even when people are able to go back, I think people are going to continue to enjoy cooking. I think people that have acquired some culinary skills are going to eat out less. So that is going to impact business overall.
It will, and it may require some pivots. I may want to go into a restaurant and be able to participate somewhat in the meal. Korean barbecue was getting real big before COVID. That may be a trend. They bring the great ingredients that you can't get at home, that only a restaurant may have access to, and you prepare the food yourself.
To be fair, Stephen, there's about 2 minutes away from me, there's a fantastic Korean grocery store that you can get all of those ingredients. The only slight barrier is your ability to speak Korean.
Yes, and also the quantity that you may have to purchase. I have every seasoning for every type of Asian food imaginable and every type of food imaginable. I have to have, close to 3 refrigerators and 2 pantries in order to store them.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would buy that quantity if I wasn't locked indoors and knew that I could potentially use them up. 5 pounds of oyster sauce goes a long way, but during pandemic, I'm on my 15th pound of oyster sauce. That's a lot of oyster sauce.
That is a lot of oyster sauce.
A lot of umami.
You need some variety in your diet, Stevens. It's a lot of Asian.
I mean, if you move it to the back of the refrigerator, then you don't use it for a few weeks.
Well, of course, but if you put it into a giant big gulp glass and put a straw in it and then you drink it, you might be over consuming.
Or IVs. If you inject it into your veins, it's probably not that good for you.
Yeah.
In fact,
I think your blood is 3/4 soy sauce right now.
Before we jump on to the next person, there was an article about this gentleman who unfortunately suffered from severe depression. He was treating himself with mushrooms.
Psilocybin mushrooms?
Yes, but unfortunately he injected them in his blood.
Oh, well, that was
and
stupid.
What they have found is that psilocybin mushrooms will grow in your blood.
Ooh.
So they actually will never be eliminated, and you'll be on a trip for the rest of your life until they get all that blood out of your system and everything else.
Adios, muchacho.
Yeah. So I don't know how I got to that, but we're there, and we'll move past it.
Oh, you were talking about umami, and your brain went to mushrooms, and then you went that direction.
Of course. Yeah. So this dinner we had every bit of umami possible. We had soy sauce and mushrooms and different type of steak. We went through a half a bottle of bourbon, a half a bottle of port, and 2.5 bottles of wine. Domenic brought his own breathalyzer with him. So he is the most responsible guest ever.
I was very sober when I left.
Very sober. He took the test. Heather took the test as well. She did not even come close to passing. We knew that was going to be the case when she was completing sentences. Right?
Yes, that's a fun toy, by the way. If you're going to be out visiting people, and you're going to have a drink or two, that's actually really advisable to have, because it'll tell you, one, what your blood alcohol content is, so you don't drive intoxicated. 2, it'll tell you how long approximately until you reach sobriety. And 3, I think it gives you an Uber number if you're too drunk.
Wow! And where do you buy it? I know that one. The one
got
you
it off of Amazon. think
The
we got
one
it off
he
Amazon.
has actually ridicules you. It tells you, at this point you cannot speak or stand or.
This one does that too. Yeah.
It makes fun of you.
So when we first tested it out, I took a little sip of whiskey and just immediately blew, and it had me at 0.28%, and it said, "You will experience memory loss, and you you likely need help standing up."
We're just so giddy about this because entertaining is just so rare.
Exactly.
It's so much fun, to see another human being and share experiences, and you're having similar experiences.
To see another human being that doesn't already live in your house.
Yes, and not just on a computer screen. It's like, wow, there's it's something very special. Hey guys, there's a book that I recommend. It was written in 1952. I don't know if you can find it or not anymore. It's by Clifford Simak. It was the first book to win both a Hugo and Nebula Award. And it posits a society that has something similar to internet. And the internet actually leads to isolation of humanity from one another. It's sort of dire and, to the end of, humans as we know it, to lots of mutations and stuff. But it is, the book is written almost 70 years ago, and it tells you what it's like to be in isolation from other humans. And it'll make you want to go out to one of our networking events when we have them as soon as possible. If you've never networked before, you're going to be like, after this book, I got to see other people. So, okay, it's been a while since we've had Noah on the show. So what's been going on in your life? Great successes, and then you can answer the question.
Nice to see everyone. And I have to say that the conversation about the restaurants, I actually think that in our area here in North Carolina, we have much more delivery than before COVID. So actually more people can order food now than before. So it will be interesting to see what that delivery, that culture, how it will impact our area. So just a side note to the conversation about the restaurants. What's going on? 3 birthdays. My little one had a birthday. My son, my older one, turned 18. So it's also almost college.
Deal. So do you know what college yet?
Not yet. We're waiting on answers. He wants to go to journalism. So that will be interesting. So 18, it's when they tell you that you can't see their medical files and all that stuff happening suddenly, but you still see the bills for how much it costs. So that's interesting, that transition. And my husband, you know him, Stephen, had his birthday too. And I decided to do something that is totally against his persona. And I ordered a karaoke machine with the lights and the microphone, and we had so much fun. So that was one of our, I think, high moments in the last few weeks.
He is the Israeli Dick Cavett. Very, very dry sense of humor.
I will not tell him that.
It's very funny because it's intelligent. It's intelligent humor. And he'll say it, and he'll give, not 100% sure you got it. He'll give a little smile and say, like, I'm kidding, without saying kidding. But he said, everyone should get the pleasure of meeting her husband.
Yeah, but he's not the guy that you will see on stage singing karaoke. So it was a bet. But what he does like for his birthday is to have a family experience, that we all do something together. So every year I'm trying to do something different. Last year we went with a photographer and had a photography lesson for the whole family, the kids and us. It was wonderful. So every year we do something else, and the karaoke was really fun. So that's, I'm going to stay with the birthdays, with the successes this month. And the question, do you want me to answer the question?
What was your first win? Something that made you know you were going in the right direction?
So, I go with my intuition, where I don't try to block the way I think and synthesize it. And I'm originally from Israel. And when I was 18, in 18, when we are 18, we go to the army in Israel. Everyone mandatory. It's mandatory. Everyone has to go to the army. And in the last few years, it's 20 plus years since I went to the army, but you get a list. Before you would just get when you are enlisted, and they will tell you, you go here, you go there, this is your job, that's it. You kind of like, it's what you get, and you don't get upset, and many people were upset. I was in the luckier generation where we would do assessment in advance, and we would get a list of jobs. And one of the jobs was a really special job that I had to do a special assessment and an extra training to get into it. And I remember when I received the letter, congratulations, you will get that role in the army. And that was a wonderful role. It was in training and actually kind of leadership coaching, which I do today. I had the opportunity to go with professors to archaeology, I can't say that word, but thank you, places in Israel, and learn about the archaeology and geography and a lot of different things, because part of the idea was that for the soldiers in Israel to defend the country, they need to learn about the country. So I needed to learn a lot to teach them that, and then teach.
Were you sort of like a madrich?
Yeah, I was something like that, exactly. And I was also coaching the officers how to stand in front of their soldiers. So it was such a wonderful experience. I was 18 and I learned so much from the best of the best. And everything I do today is because of those wonderful skills of training and standing in front of an audience.
Leadership.
And leadership that I learned very early in my life. And today what I do is I work with executives and leaders and social leaders. So in a way, that was the door that opened me to many, many beautiful opportunities afterwards.
So I had a very similar experience, because when I was graduated college, when I was 20, I went to Israel and I worked for the American high school in Israel as a madrich.
Yeah.
And they would bring the students over to study for 9 weeks, and I would be responsible for their well-being and help them with their studies. They would study in class for 3 days, and then they would go to the archaeological sites with their books and study there. And the real challenge for me was I was only 2 years older than these people, and you were the same age as these people. And I had all of a sudden to be, stand in front of them and learn how to be a leader.
Right.
And learn about logistics and all of those great things. And I had actually went to the same program myself, and I did well academically in it, but they almost sent me home from the program because I misbehaved, having being away from my parents. So when they hired me, I said, "Why did you hire me despite the terrible things I did on the program?" And they said, "Stephen, because you got all your failure quotients done at an early age. You know
how to deal with the kids that will be troublemakers like you and bring them on."
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what they said. They said, whatever you did, there's nothing they can do that can compare to what you did, and you're going to be able to anticipate their every move.
Yeah.
And they were right. I stayed with them for close to 3 years, through the Gulf War. I stayed during the Gulf War. I was the only employee of the school during the Gulf War, and I watched the entire campus. The town that I lived in, Israel, I was known as the American because I was the only American left during the Gulf War. At the airport, when I was escorting my last students out of the country, I felt like the last man standing. Everyone was.
I was in high school during the Gulf War, so I got some time off.
You remember that how everyone was running out of the country. All the foreigners. I stayed, and my parents had to get a big Xanax prescription to handle that because they understood why I stayed. I didn't want to feel like I was abandoning the Israeli people while I was there. I felt very uncomfortable with going back to the safety of the United States. Especially since it was, the U.S. was the one that was instigating the bombings at that point. within the war. But yeah, great story, and that's a fantastic win, and definitely stuff that happens to us like between the ages of 16 to 21. Those wins are very formative on what we do the rest of our lives. Jenny, why don't you take first of all, what has been your success since we've last seen you? It's been a while. Like every week I go, where's Jenny? Is she okay? You know, what happened to Jenny? So we're glad you're back.
Wasn't I here? Was I not there? Oh no, last week I couldn't. No, that's right. Last week I couldn't be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything's good. Samantha started preschool, so that's exciting. 3 days a week.
Terrific.
She's not here, except on Tuesdays. She's still
better than starting preschool is when they start kindergarten. Then it's like getting a big raise.
I know. Well, I mean, thanks, COVID. Samantha, don't climb in the freezer. Because that's what's happening right now. Trying to climb up the freezer door. Close the door, please. Yeah. So because we do year-round school, so she'll be in kindergarten starting in July. But the plan was to have her start preschool last year. But you know, thanks, COVID. Awesome. But yeah, so it's been fun. I mean, we didn't have the opportunity with our son to keep him home. You know, he went into childcare right at like 9 weeks. So this has been a huge thing for us. Both of us equally, myself and my husband, to parent. I had her for, you know, full-time parenting for a while. He had her full-time parenting for a while, and now she's getting ice from the ice maker. My apologies for the background noise. She was seriously silent until you called on me. That's it. And
it's part of the entertainment. It's part of the show.
It is. You can always guarantee I will bring some kind of comedic entertainment, comic relief. Stop it.
So for you, what was your great win that is made you know that you were on the right course?
Well, I think so. Like for me, I've always been a helper. Like that's been my lot in life, right? And it took me a while to get to the point of where I am now in this iteration of my business, to understand that helping, that I get to decide. I've been trying to think of how to frame it. So it's that I get to choose, not like the how or the why or the what, but I get to choose the medium in which I get to impact other people's lives. And that can come in many different forms. And it doesn't necessarily have to be just through a conversation. It's the win was recognizing that I had a voice and I could use it to bring joy and to help other people. That's kind of, you know, I can't quite put my finger on when that realization happened. I wish I could say like that there was a clearly defined when. Like I feel like I get validation.
I mean, I would imagine, and see if I, you know, maybe pushing the envelope in a conversation here, going back on my own experience. But you know, you started off as a social worker. You know, you went to graduate school, licensed clinical social worker, etc. Big deal to leave that behind.
Mm-hmm.
Was the win when you realized that you would carry those skills with you and everything that you learned to everything that you would do later in life? Would that be a transformative win?
It could be. I mean, I was really angry and bitter and jaded and cynical when I left the bedside. So I was kind of burned out. So my win, I guess, was surviving the burnout and finding another way, right? Like that's really like finding discovering with the strength within myself to move forward despite all of the disheartened experiences that I had up until that point. You know, I think one of the things that is missing from businesses in general, and business owners, especially when you're solopreneurs or small teams, is the understanding of how much your personal stuff impacts how you operate your business and what you do every day and how you put yourself out there. So if I can have a small impact in that, and looking in the business owners that I have interactions with and helping them understand that, you know, perfection is not the goal. The goal is whatever the goal is. And you're going to have to work through some stuff to get there, and it's going to be okay. And you have permission to be human and not a megabot that's going to be able to manage and juggle all of the things, and outsource when you need to outsource, and trust your instincts when you need to trust your instincts, and, you know, show the world that you're human, and it will come back to you. So I don't know. That's kind of my musing for today.
Well, I mean, it's good stuff because you get all the challenges. Like a lot of people, you know, when they finally come into their own in their business, their children are already on their way to college. Right. They're doing it all sort of simultaneously,
mm-hmm.
which is the challenge that you seem to be winning, in quotes. So maybe your win is happening right now.
She's wearing clothes today. That's my win.
Well, that's a win. That's a win in our house too. It's also a battle. I do wear clothes all the time. I'm talking about some of our children. And they're older than your children.
Yeah.
All right, so Shaun, I'm looking in the chat, and everyone is very interested. They go, wow, this guy Shaun, he looks really interesting. Is that a real background behind him? It's sort of mysterious.
Leave it up to you to decide whether it's real or an illusion.
Yeah, they're saying, what is he doing here? What is he going to do for us? Who is he? You know, so Shaun hasn't been in a while. So, you know, Shaun, I'll let you share who you are, what your successes have been. You have a lot on your plate. Then I want you to answer the question, and then you're going to share something that's associated with what you do, with one of the things you do.
Okay, so first part is, what's the first part?
The first part is, why don't you let people know what you do, since it's been a while since you've been on the program.
Sure. So people are figuring it out in the chat. I am a professional magician and speaker, and through COVID I've had to reimagine a good background, what a good or bad background is, and this is just the latest evolution of my background. It's not a fake background, but it's just placement of things behind me that I use when I do my virtual show to spruce up meetings and online events. So that's what that is behind me. So when I do shows, which you can see, I'm actually doing some public shows now, which I can mention. I'm actually teamed up with Airbnb. If you guys are familiar with that platform or have used it before, you can now find me on there. And if is it okay if I'm allowed to do a screen share? I'll just show you what the page looks like real quick.
Alan, can you please give Shaun the ability to do a screen share?
I'll just give you just a quick 2-second, just so you can see what it looks like. I'm just waiting. And then I'll actually show you what I do live, so you can see it now. Oh, here it is. Great. So yeah, there you go. Just real quick. It's the Shaun J Virtual Magic Experience, and it took me a while to get on there, but they're very particular about who they have, and it's gone quite well. I've got a bunch of 5-star reviews.
They know, unlike Jenny's kids, they know that you're going to be wearing your clothing during every show.
Thankfully, I do wear clothing from the top to the bottom, especially if, you know, I do have a reputation with children. That's not something I want to ruin. Just in general, I don't think...
It's a very clean show, you know,
yeah.
for all ages.
Yes, and people can go on and get tickets. Anybody from anywhere in the world. I have shows all this upcoming week and into the weekend, and you can, sure Sarah can share the link to that if you guys are interested and you want to grab a ticket. This is actually the best time to see my show, because when people hire me for private events, it's a totally different pricing structure because it's private and it's just for them. But Airbnb makes it very accessible. It's just $25 per ticket to see my entire show. It's pretty awesome. So feel free to check that out.
That's a great thing if someone, you know, wants to do something on a Friday night.
Yeah.
With their You can't be in the same place with your friends, but you can enjoy the experience together.
In fact, this Friday I have a show, 7:30. So you can go on there and
Excellent.
check it out.
We'll drop that there in the chat. And we'll make sure we get something out in the emails, our emails about what you're doing.
Wonderful, wonderful.
So I would say that's a combination of what you do and what your success has been for the week.
Yeah.
Now the question is, what was the win that let you knew that you were on your right track? And you've been on this path for a very long time.
What was the win just in general in life and my career, or just recently?
What was that one win, like that? You got that gig that just said, "Hey, I'm a professional."
Yeah.
Or.
Yeah. So the one win is that, one of the many wins is that when I started this whole thing when I was 12 years old, 17 going on 18 years ago now, I was when I showed what I did, when I shared my skills with other performers and other people, the verification came in pretty quick that they said, "Wow, you're just as good as what I've seen on TV." And then people started asking if I had a website, and then I eventually got a website. I have a very nice website now. I'm very thankful for that, ShaunJMagic.com. And people now, especially something actually I'm doing. What is it? Tomorrow's the 27th, right? Yes. Yeah, so tomorrow, earlier today, I had a tech check with a corporation actually who's hiring me for their big sales event that they're having to do online. It's for a medical company, and they're having like 250 people that are going to be in the gallery. And so it's going to be tomorrow. They're having this whole day agenda of an online meeting for their company, and then they have me in there to upgrade their meeting to re-energize everybody so they can reawaken themselves and from being so tired and worn out from looking at the screen all day and looking at little thumbnails. So I'm going to get in there and change things up. I'm doing my entire show actually for them. They want me to do that.
So here's another question for you. So although you performed as a child, I mean, I've known you when you were a teenager. People always took you seriously as an adult performer, it seems like. No one was like, "Oh, look at this kid doing magic." It's like you had this seriousness about you.
I've always been that way. It's
that.
How what?
How were you able to achieve that?
I was able. I think it's because it's who I was wired to be. Because what you see is not of course, when I'm performing, when I'm doing a show, you see a persona, and I'm performing an act per se. Like it said that a magician is an actor playing the part of a magician. But in the other sense, I've always been like that. Even when I was much younger, I was always just really serious about whatever I was putting my mind to. Even I remember when I would go bowling, like just something random like that. Most people don't really give it much thought unless they want to be a professional, but I was always, I guess, really competitive, and I would always be very hard on myself if I wasn't, even though I didn't know what I was doing. I just wanted to be good at everything, and it's a perfectionism, I guess you could say. It's a trait that has both its pros and cons. I've learned over the years to remind myself that I am not good at everything. I am not perfect, and to just focus on what I am good at, which is this stuff here. And I'm thankful that I've been given the opportunity to do that, and for many years.
You come from a generation that has unlimited knowledge, too. I mean, a lot of the things that you learned were at your fingertips, and other people may have had to search for that stuff for a long time.
Yeah, I guess you can say, yeah. So I'm officially a millennial, I guess, but I don't say it that often because I wouldn't consider myself as your standard, stereotypical, privileged, whatever people want to box a millennial into. Because yes, I did have the stuff at my fingertips, but thankfully, I'm really thankful that I was taught from a very early age to work for what I receive, and not just to expect everything just laid on a silver platter for me. And although
Magic has really changed because, I was a bookseller at the very beginning of the internet, and you couldn't find, like, people would pay for a trick that I could find for them in a book. They would pay $1,000.
Yep.
That trick, and now I can find those same books, printed in their entirety for free online.
Yes. Well, in the beginning, I read a lot of books. I mean, when I was little, that was kind of still in the early stages of the internet. I remember going on my parents' computer, running Windows 95, working my way around that. And there wasn't really much going on. It was dial-up. So I didn't learn any of the magic stuff that I do today really much from the internet. I did a lot from books and a lot from video cassette tapes. And then the internet, I actually really haven't learned much from the internet. I go to the internet now, like, to just look at things to get me inspired, or just like how to fix my car, or But magic, most of what I've learned has either been from books, videos, or one-on-one instruction with the best in the world.
Excellent. Well, would you like to share? Are you prepared to share an illusion with us to end the program today?
I am prepared. Yes, I am totally prepared with something that involves a few people who are here watching. If we can get Noah. Yep, she just turned off her camera, but that's okay. And she's back.
No, I just sneezed. I had a big sneeze.
Okay. Okay, that's okay. No, that's all good. This is live. This is proof that it's live. It's not pre-recorded. So I'm going to have Noah and Jenny, and if I guess Steve. I need 3 people, since you are the only other 3 people.
Alan, do you want to participate? Do you want to turn on your camera? Alan's our producer in the Philippines.
If Alan,
I'm shy.
Alan's shy. Okay, so for now, I'm just going to see Mr. Text Alan. No face, but that's okay. That's okay. You're still able to see this. So the people that do have their camera on, we're going to try something together. And the reason why, one of the main reasons, I guess, why you guys hold this program is to encourage connections, people connecting with each other, right, Stephen and Sarah?
And helping one another, sure, absolutely.
And helping each other out. And this piece that I'm going to do involves connections, quite literally. And so a lot of people think when a magician brings out a deck of cards that maybe they're somehow prepared in a certain order, or somehow there's been arts and crafts done and special cards. So I'm going to have each of you choose one of these cards. So actually we'll do like this. Starting with Noah, as I run my finger down the side, you just say stop wherever you like. And I'm not going to influence you at all as much as you think I might be trying. That's not what this is all about. I will stop exactly where you say. Hopefully you're okay. You are unmuted, so I could hear you. Was that a stop there? Would you like there, or the one next to it, or the one beside it? Your choice.
This one.
This one here, which is the 3 of diamonds, correct? Okay.
Yeah.
That is the one that you stopped me at. I will take that one out, and I will place it right over here on the table. Now, Jenny, I'm going to ask the same with you. We'll go a little bit quicker this time. As I go through, you just say stop anywhere. Right there.
Correct.
That looks like the 10 of clubs, which I will also place on the table behind me. And finally, Stephen, as I run through your choice, you will determine which cards we use.
Yeah, he said stop about 4 cards ago, but he was muted.
The 6 of clubs.
6 spades.
Of clubs, spades. Clubs.
Okay, Alan is jumping in there. Okay, I thought you weren't going to say anything, but all right, Alan, all right, 6 of clubs just for you. That is for you. So we have 3 cards chosen at random from this deck here. What we're going to do is this. I'm going to... You can still see the cards, correct?
Yes.
I'm going to try to have the cards jump out of my hand. That's a new one. That has never happened before. That was cool. Okay, here we are.
That was the trick.
That was it. No, that was not it. Here we go. That's literally the first time ever. So in order to try this experiment in connections, first we have to make some rings. And these aren't the standard rings that you'd find in a magic set made out of plastic or metal. These are rings made out of individual playing cards that you chose, that I'm making here right in front of you with no special arts and crafts skills. I'm just tearing out the centers. Okay, so we have 3 solid cards, otherwise with the centers missing. Now, in order to make a connection, I just have to line them up. Let's see, I'm still here. And on the count of 3, 2, 3, you'll actually notice a genuine connection. That card is literally linked on there. That's not an optical illusion. I can show you from the back as well. It's really hanging in the center in between the other 2 cards. Now this reminds me that during the pandemic, sometimes we feel like these cards. We feel torn. We feel like literally our center has been removed. It's kind of hard to just think sometimes. We feel like we're not one piece. We feel like we aren't the same person. But through the magic of technology and through the magic of friendship, we can still create these kind of connections. And I'm going to do this one right here, up at eye level so you can see this. Here it is. Right there, clearly connected. Now the only way to unlink this is to do what anybody would do in this case, is to tear the card, which you can see. Allows me to get it back out. If we go back to the very beginning, where there were no tears at all in the cards, we had 1 solid playing card with 1 hole missing in the center. And that's how I make magical connections.
Mind blown.
These are the cards we chose. And that's me. I'm Shaun J. Check me out.
Well, the audience loved it and we loved it. If you could put Sarah or Alan, if you can put Shaun's
there you go
there so everyone can see it and drop it in the chat as well. I want to thank everyone who's been with us this week, especially the people that have been off for a while. Thank you, Noah and Jenny and Shaun. We'll see you next Tuesday, same time, 2 o'clock Eastern time for 3 Martini lunch. And if everyone could just say, oh, I just want to say before you get off, which is something that's really neat. We're working so that people will actually be able to network on our website. So we're going to be doing some beta testing. If you're interested in testing this new product, let us know. But you'll be able to, actually go to events virtually on our website, which is pretty cool. Okay, bye everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
You too.